Well, welcome to Tailwind to Success, the podcast that helps business owners and entrepreneurs fly higher, farther, and faster. I'm Jeremy, and this is Ben.
Thanks for joining us. The Tailwind to Success podcast is exciting and important to me because I want to focus on building a community inside of the home services industry and offering practical, transparent advice to other home service business owners with the intent to add value and really have the most impact that we can have inside of the home services industry.
So let's just jump right in. One of the things that we want to first talk about is some business news or business tips for people. One of the things I thought about this week, Ben, was why do you think that businesses fail quickly? And what I mean is the U.S. Labor Department says that 20% of new businesses fall within the first 2 years. 45% fail within the first 45 years, first 5 years, and 65 fail within the first 10 years. Why do you think that is, Ben? What's your thoughts? I have a couple of thoughts too.
Yeah, I think entrepreneurship provides so much opportunity to an individual to have a lot of freedom. But there's a lot of, especially in social media, there's a lot of anecdotal high points to talk about that make entrepreneurship look really exciting because of the truth of the matter, it is. But I think that there's a lack of conversation on what it takes to manage a business to ensure that it is successful, that you're putting process and procedure in place to have healthy cash flow and talking about strategy so that you can put money back into the business to have the best return on investment to keep the business moving forward. And so I think that that's part of the problem is a lack of education on how to manage a business, especially if you're coming from having a high skill in something specific and being really good at plumbing, being really good at mowing yards, whatever the case may be, but not a lot of skill and education around how to manage your business. That's part of what I think about that.
I went back to school to learn business, even having been in business for a couple decades now. And I just know that there's a lot I didn't know. And going back to school really helped me out. And I think people with blue collar workers, right, who are trying to start their own business, they may, like me, didn't have the advantage to go to college first, right? Yeah. We had to kind of start, out in the field. So education is a big thing.
I've been very fortunate enough to be a part of and speak at a couple of mastermind groups specific to home service entrepreneurs. And one of the things that I have noticed in those groups is they get to be surrounded by others who have either been in their position at some point and been able to get through it, or they're in the exact same spot. But they get to learn from others on what did and didn't work inside of their same industry without having to go to school to, get the level of education that that is probably going to be really useful to them. They can get that same level of education and firsthand experience from others that have already gone before them and done that. And so, but to that, like they get to relate to someone who understands the dynamic of having to be scrappy and what that means, and being on the far side of that too. And so there's a level of like relational encouragement and equity that you get to get from those mastermind and networking types of groups.
Yeah, I think you said it in when we were talking before the show about the importance of just getting the job done.
Yeah, I think what I said is that it's really when you do have ownership of your business, like you own every single thing that happens inside of that business, every decision that is made. It's really easy to get caught in that mindset that every decision has to be perfect. It has to be the right decision. And sometimes it is way better to emphasize just make the decision, make the call and get it done and learn from it, and try to make an improvement the next go round. But the mindset of everything having to be perfect before you make a decision, I think can really cripple you. It can put you behind in certain timelines, and overthinking can, it's not productive. It's not constructive.
I want to add that I think one of the things that but one thing that's easy to fall in the trap of is trying to get profitable and not managing your cash flow, right? you can have a very profitable company and still be on the brink of bankrupt. And that's because you don't know how to manage your cash flow. And it's part of that's because, you're just making decisions. I mean, you are making decisions, which is good, but then you are also not paying attention to the amount of cash that's going out of your business. And so making sure that you guard that above all is probably the most important thing. And that's where, having a good bookkeeper comes into play, right? That's something that we do for people, but it's so important because we can actually work with somebody, open up the books and say, hey, this is where you're doing well. This is where you are spending a little bit too much money on. And this is why you feel like you can't take any money out of your business to pay your own bills, right? Because you are struggling with your cash flow. Turning the page to a business who may already have an established team. Ben, what are some thoughts that you had over the last couple of days when it comes to leading a team?
So I'm in a season right now where I have a team that I've adopted and been blessed with. But when it comes to entering a team that's already established, there's that interesting season where I have certain expectations of them that's new to them. And so the place that I'm at and what I've noticed recently is I'm finding myself like, frustrated. They're not doing X, Y, and Z that I would like for them to do. And I think it's really easy for leaders to get caught into a season where they just focus on being upset that your team is not performing in a certain way or an individual is not performing in a certain way. And so I think an alternative perspective to have and something to focus on is going back to yourself on what have you done as their leader to help educate and train them and set expectations, clear expectations with them in order to get the result that you want. Have you done that yet? If you haven't done that yet, then the only person that you can blame for them not doing what you want them to do is yourself. And so it's really important for an individual who's in a position where they lead other people and specifically manage people's performance to really ask yourself that question is what have you done to help educate, train, and support your team members to meet the expectations that you have? And is that clearly defined? And if not, you do something about it, whether that's having a meeting with them and then backing up with an email that has certain verbiage that you want to use, creating a document, creating a spreadsheet, teaching them how to use that information, whatever the case may be. But the principle is always coming back to, have you spent the time to help educate, train, and support your team members to perform in the way that you have expected them to do?
That's really good.
Yeah, man. All right. I think we've got a question.
Well, this one I see, and I've actually gotten not just from one, but several people that I work with. And it's, should I be posting on all social media platforms or should I only be posting on one social media platform? I'll let you start because you do a lot more marketing these days.
Yeah, I do have a lot to say about that, and it's going to be difficult to keep it brief, but I will say that there are two schools of thought, and this is from Alex Hormozy, and I'll point that out initially, that when it comes to social media and publishing content, you have the depth then width approach, and then you have the width then depth approach. The depth then width approach means that you focus on solely one platform. You only post and get really good on that one platform. When you start to learn how to navigate it and be successful with it by whatever defined metrics that you have, then you move on to adding another one. The width then depth approach means you just do the same thing on every platform, and over time you start to learn how to be nuanced in each of those platforms because every single one has their own strategy on how to be successful, and you can't just do the same thing across all social media platforms. And so there's something to say with, how much resource do you have as an individual who owns the business? Do you have a team of people that every single person can focus on one platform? And so maybe, then you post on every single platform. Or are you doing it yourself? It's just you. Maybe it makes sense, way more sense, to just focus on one and try to get really good at that one. And then maybe as you're successful, as your business grows, you bring on another team member that can help expand that. But I will say, just as a principle before I kick it over to you, Jeremy, and your thoughts, is that social media is free. It can be expensive if you choose to run ads. And, if you choose to run ads, but it's also a free resource to market your business. And so I don't think it's entirely necessary for every home service business owner, but it is also free outside of your time. I also think it takes less time than you probably think to publish, but it is still a mental drain, and it can be a time suck. But I think that the opportunity that it has to have a positive impact on your business is there. Like it's there. It can have an impact on your business if you can focus on one and get good at it and leverage it to the next thing.
Yeah, everything you said, I agree with. I think the way I would add some more to it would be to say, I think they should start with something they personally enjoy.
Yeah.
But then also speaks to their audience a little bit more. So I'll tell you an example. I was talking with a friend of mine who owns a hair salon, and me and her were talking back and forth about this was back when Threads came out. She was like, "Well, Jeremy, should I get on Threads, and how active should I be on it?" And I'm like, "Well, for a hairdresser, right? Yes, or not hairdresser, but salon. She could go on Threads and make announcements and do all that kind of stuff. But most of the people on social media who is following her are wanting to see like beautiful hair, right? Her work and her product. And that's something that she could do on Threads, but she could do it even more on like platforms like Instagram, which really supports photos and customer testimonies and stuff like that. And so I told her what you could do is, and tell me if you would have said the same thing. What I told her is, you like Instagram, you get a good following there, just start there. And then maybe just start cross-posting, right? Maybe it gives you the option to like share to Threads. Just share it. If it's let you share to Facebook, just share it to Facebook. And you may not be active on those platforms right now, but you like Instagram, pick it, and then make that be the one that you are really focused on engaging with.
Yeah, absolutely. I think there's a lot of truth to that. And I will say too, like, it's really a great thing whenever the platform that you enjoy the most also happens to be the platform where your audience or potential audience really is. So if those two things align, it makes total sense to stick with that one thing and try not to bite off more than you can chew. And I think it's important that you assess like what is manageable for you as an individual, or if you're responsible for someone else who's managing it. But go where the attention is. And again, in general, all marketing is sales. Marketing is about gaining awareness to the service or product that you offer and creating funnels so that you can get to them and sell them, and hopefully get repeat business. And so if your platform that you enjoy the most is also where where the attention of your potential customers is, it's perfect. It's a good thing.
That's all for today. If you have any questions, feel free to send us a DM on social media at Tailwind to Success. And if you're a business owner looking to elevate your business, we offer coaching, workshops, and a range of administrative services, such as bookkeeping, all built just to help you succeed. Have a great one.